Beyond the state bank?
It went up this way, it's on.
Well, Louise, I'm doing like this, it's Railroad Street.
Okay.
And here is the Tolliver Grocery. And
Oh,
coming
yeah,
up
way
this
off.
street is the freight station and the depot. And going up here on the first street is Bishop's Drug Store. And then I can't think what that was.
This was had a restaurant right there, Sluss.
Yes, and then you got to the bank, and then I think to the casket company. I don't know where.
Now, the casket company, you came on that, you know this big old.
Beyond the bank?
The tin building,
Yeah.
where you went up,
Yeah.
after we got that tin building where you went up that street towards Main Street. That's where the casket building
Yeah.
was, because we played it.
Oh, did we play? And we'd hide in the caskets.
We could come out of our back.
Yeah, our backyard and get in there. But anyway, now going from Bishop's Drug Store coming back west, there was some space, and then there was a restaurant type thing, and it was off limits to us. I mean, I can remember wanting to peep in there and know what was going on.
You mean right next door to Bishop's?
Yeah, and there was a lot between. And then there was these 2 or 3 something or others before you got to Granddad's Hotel. And those places were of ill repute, I would say.
I remember something.
I don't know
about
what
that.
they were.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly.
But I think there, I can remember there was a little place there, and you went into it and you went way back.
Yes,
It was
yes.
a long sort of building. The next one, Uncle Herb and Uncle Bert had a meat market. Remember that? Yeah.
Uncle Bert and Uncle Herb were always doing something.
But they had a place, but I can remember they had this great big round thing where they chopped the meat.
Uh-huh.
And then the next place up there was another sort of a hotelish like.
Well, I have a feeling it was hotelish like too.
It was red.
Rooms. There were rooms. Yeah, there were rooms there, and it could have been one of those places. So,
I think we had those.
with the gentleman,
Entertainment.
the entertainment center for men.
I see.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised, but that's what it was, and that's why it was off limits, and you almost felt like you had to run, but you were so curious, you know, you wanted to see what was going on.
Well, now, Sam Bradley built the big home there,
Yeah.
Allie Young, that Allie Young ended up with. When
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
that big white, had the
Oh.
white shingles on the white siding, did Sam build that?
Now, wait a minute, say it again. I remember Sam Bradley's home.
Well, that's where you talking about.
And it was green, sort of shingles. Green shingles, and it might have been a story and a half, but it was a big,
Had that.
and it
steel
had
fence
all, it had, goldfish pond,
Yes.
swimming pool, la-di-da, and you walked down the steps long.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful, and beautiful garden, and Clara Bradley was his wife, and she taught me voice when I was a little girl.
Delta.
She had been a concert singer.
What an amazing person she was.
Huh?
She really was.
Oh, yes, a real, and you talk about a highly cultured, very educated musician. She was that, and I can't remember where Sam Bradley found her. I should know. I
Both
should.
of those boys stayed.
Sam Jr.
Phil is in
and Phil.
Bill's
Pennsylvania,
in Pennsylvania. There was
And
also,
antique
there was
business.
Jimmy,
doing well.
Was there 3?
Yeah, there's Jimmy, I remember him.
Jimmy and Sam.
I remember Sam, I had him in plays. And,
Well, one of them went to Washington or someplace way out west. And then there's one that was in the antique business.
That's
But
well,
Phil.
Sam was in the antique business, and so was Phil, I
But
think.
I
Well,
think
they're
Sam went
another
into
collection.
teaching.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Sam,
I had little
I
things
thought
she
he went
gave
into
me.
teaching.
Yeah,
Sam
satin
never,
glass.
Sam never married.
Beautiful piece of
Yeah,
satin
he did
glass
that,
you
didn't he?
gave me. Overlay.
Well, now, when Mr. Bradley died, then they moved from that place over right across the street, didn't they, into another?
Oh, no,
The
They stayed-
Davises lived in that
That's
big
where the
White
Davises
House.
lived, in the big White House that's set way back.
It was a schoolhouse.
Yeah, and he
Is that what
ran
that
the
was,
bank.
the barn?
He ran the state bank. And had two girls, I know two girls, and then I think a boy came along.
They had
what
Margaret
their
was the
names?
youngest girl that I can remember, and then Allaby and
And Hallie B. And Elizabeth? Hallie B.
that
Davis.
left me.
And
Margaret was pretty.
I believe it was Elizabeth. Hallie B.
Margaret was real pretty. I saw her, I guess,
Who?
20 years ago.
Margaret.
And she was
Oh,
living
she was
around
the
here-
youngest.
living around here someplace at that time, because she came into the office.
Well, now help me. If Sam Bradley lived in that
Big
big
green,
home.
green shingle house.
Yeah.
Great big spread way down, just, it was, oh, she had a collection of antiques
Yeah, she.
that was out of this world, and I
The
went there
Fords and
for voice
Vanderbilts, I know
lessons
that used to stop.
regularly. She was really gonna make a singer out of me.
Well,
And next door, on down west, setting back farther in a big front lot, was the Davis house.
well, now did Mrs. Bradley move in there later?
Not that I know of.
She did.
She
But
did.
the reason I ask, because it seemed
Because
like Mom
she
and I
moved
used
over
to-
there when the Youngs moved into the Bradley house.
The Youngs moved, what Youngs?
Jane Young.
Jane and her family lived there.
And Mary, you met her mom?
Camden.
Yeah.
Oh,
They lived right,
in that house?
right across from the Willets when we were kids.
Yeah, I can remember
I
that.
can
That
never
was-
run down.
Well, that must have been when I was away in school.
It probably was, because I saw very little.
Because
of
I
you
went
when
away in the 20s, in like 24 or 5, to school. And see, I only remember that house, now it's kind of coming to me, when Sam died, and I can't remember what happened to Mrs. Bradley, Clara.
She moved to Pennsylvania.
She went to Pennsylvania. Well, she must
Her
have
son
had
was
some
teaching.
family up there.
Sam.
Sam, he was in Pennsylvania too.
Uh-huh, yeah, I know Sam was. I heard from Sam, you know, for some time. Just every now and then I do get a letter from him.
Now, where the People's Bank is right now, whose home, that used to be the funeral
That was
home?
Allie.
That was the McKinney's.
Valley Young.
That was Allie's first home.
Oh, and then
Yes.
they moved it,
Uh-huh.
okay.
Yeah.
And then Clark Lane had that funeral home there.
Uh-huh. And that was the big red brick across from the bank was Bill Young's house that he built. And he built it when he was married to someone related to
Archie?
Archie. I started to say Archie. And then she died, and he married Nell Young. Nell Young taught me piano.
She divorced him.
Huh? She divorced Bill?
Archie divorced.
Oh, I never knew what happened.
It was that, something on a railroad track about.
Well, see,
It must have been the Roses.
You can see Archie Rose's name for her, I bet.
I'll bet anything in the world that was
She
it.
was.
Yeah, that's what I bet.
That was it.
Archie couldn't put up with him,
Uh-huh,
and he's drinking.
uh-huh.
He used to get on the
And
railroad
carousing.
Now that's,
and
that,
go up to Wrigley. They had a cabin up there at Wrigley.
Yeah.
And he'd go up there and take his
Gals.
guys up there, and they'd all go up there and gamble and carry on. Kind of thing. Well, Archie finally just packed it up and went back to Texas,
Oh,
married down
I
there.
never knew what happened to her. Forgotten.
And, so Bill then turned around and married Nell.
Nell.
Reason I know, Mary Holbrook, Nell's sister, John Wills.
John Wilson.
Dorothy.
Dorothy, excuse me, Dorothy Holbrook. I went, well, it's when Polly was here. We went up and talked with her, and Dorothy said that Bill Young had the foulest mouth in eastern Kentucky.
Oh, he was almost a criminal. Well, I guess you would. He didn't pay, I understood he didn't pay for anything in that house, that he sued everybody. He got it from Lexington, mainly Combs Lumber Company. And he sued them that this wasn't right and that wasn't right and didn't arrive on time, anything he could dream up. And he put that great big house up without putting much money. If
Had-
any.
Had the house built around the piano, and when they came to repossess the piano, he said, you can't repossess it because it was, I don't know, some legal. And you're right, you talk about the law.
Uh-huh.
He was the law.
He was the law. Well, why do you think Daddy ran?
Oh, yeah.
Daddy ran to break 50 years of political control by Allie Young.
Yeah.
And Allie Young's right hand under the table man was Bill Young.
And my dad was right in there with him.
Right in there with him.
Because he and
They
Allie
were too sharp.
had their office up there in
Yeah,
St. Cozyville.
Yeah, Cozyville. Yeah.
But now, see, going back and doing all this, I understand why. Because of the family, the way they were married.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm sure that, you know, the Rose house was a prostitute house. I always understood. Tom Rose's 5 girls, or however many. Archie was the youngest, and she was my age, and we used to ride on the opposite side of the creek, and I'd ride with her. Granddad always kept a horse for Louise and me to ride. And we each had one. And we'd ride on sometimes on the other side of the creek, and Archie and I would race. Well, I didn't know, but I tell you, she was the one that when she'd go off someplace to the big city, she'd come back with the real diamonds and the real fur, while the other girls got the fake.
She had a daughter,
I think she did. Didn't
And-
you deliver?
and the daughter they left here, but
They left it.
Yeah.
they came back one time and they were dressed fit to kill. I can remember that.
Do you remember that there was behind that big house we were talking about, Bill Young house?
Yeah.
There's a row of little houses back there.
Yeah.
They lived right there.
Is that,
Uh-huh.
Okay, that was the Rose house.
Oh, no, the
They
Rose
were across the creek, but this is when Archie came
swinging
back.
bridge across
Yeah.
the creek.
When Archie
From
came
the
back.
England.
see, at that time, really, the railroad tracks, you didn't live across the railroad tracks or across the creek or anything.
But the Millers did, and they
Uh-huh.
were fine people, but they ran
Well,
the
the
freight
Angles
station.
did, too.
And the Anglins did, and they were fine people. But they all ran the railroad business, the freight and the depot. The freight depot and the, whatever you call it.
Passenger.
Passenger depot. Yeah, and then, between the Anglin house, there was a hotel there for a while.
Uh-huh.
On down.
Yeah, and the road between the Anglin's house and whatever this hotel was, went right down to the creek, and you took a swinging bridge across, and that's where Tom Rose's family was. Now, is there any of that Rose family around here anymore?
When did
There was one son, Tom.
No, then I had
Jimmy,
Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy.
I met him.
Are any of that family
George
alive?
Watson.
Or is any
I
of that?
don't know, but it seemed like they gave all their kids that were sold in Texas or something.
Yeah, they gave them all away, or something happened to all their children. Was that girl Brown that took all the children to Texas and sold them?
Uh-huh.
And so,
barely remember that.
That was a big scandal.
That was a big
Yeah.
scandal.
now I don't
Judge.
know that scheme,
The judge was in on that.
but
Who was that?
those
Who
girls
was it?
were
Was that
used
Cameron?
as pawns for politicians. They were used to buy votes.
Were they attractive?
Oh, yes, they were attractive. You bet, every one of them. I can remember Tom Rose himself was a tall, handsome man with good stature and well-met. Now, I started to say his wife's name was Archie, but I don't know. But his wife was very mundane, very domesticated, stayed right in the house, and had all these girls, and I can't remember, but at least 4, and I think more. And then finally on came this Jeanette, the one boy.
Well, now, who was the one that was mentally off? I think that was a boy.
I think it was, I don't remember there being but one boy. Maybe there was an older
I
somebody.
think it was an older one.
I believe there was too, Louise, that, was never talked about or seen, kinda kept in-house. Yeah. But,
But
Tom
they
Rose
kept
was
him
the
in a
pond
fenced-up
for
place on the
Bill
outside.
Young.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
See,
remember
to
that.
control
And I mean, to me, that was the thing.
Right there as you turn the.
For
Right,
Alley
you turn
Young.
that fence.
Yeah.
And I
They
mean, I
put,
could just
you
see
know,
him
he
just
lived
like
in
a
Louisville
wild
more than he
horse.
ever lived
People
here.
said they used to hear
But he
him
kept the home and the wife
hollering
and the
and
children
screaming.
here. About, what was her name?
Oh, yeah.
I'm 66.
Mary?
Mary, I believe
I'm
it was
born
Mary.
27.
Mary Evelyn, you know, was my
I'm born
age.
12, so that's,
And there was Camden
there
and
is some
Taylor
way.
and,
We could remember a lot of
Yeah,
I
those.
can't remember who all.
Well, there was an Alley Junior one there.
Yes, yeah, there was Allie Junior. He was more your age, wasn't he, Louise?
About a year ago.
And there was Taylor, and there's Mary Evelyn my age, and there was Camden, and then Patty.
Jane.
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 Patty was Taylor's.
Uh-huh, yeah. Patty was, Taylor's town. Uh-huh.
And Zane.
Jane was.
Zane.
Zane.
Oh,
Zane.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, Zane.
That's Taylor's.
I don't know whatever happened to any of them. I know it.
Zane's in Frankfurt, Patty's in Winchester.
Winchester.
Sure enough.
She comes up, I think, every now and then.
Huh. Well, anyway, what caused Dad to run, and I mean, you can read it in the newspaper back then. It got to the place that you could not take your law books and settle anything in the court, because the judge always stepped back of the bench into the judge's room, and it was there, the passing of whatever money or whatever bought the decision. And that's where the decisions were made. And it got to the place that people pressured Dad to run. He'd been county attorney once because he was pressured. Dad never wanted politics. All right, we always decided everything, and so did Granddad Abel do it this way. But getting all the family together and telling what the situation was, and they voted. Dad got us all together, and we would vote. Even when they get in a car going on a trip, and you had to control Mother to control what decision. But anyway, Daddy got us together to see if we approved of his entering the election for circuit judge. And we knew about all this pressure and all these people were trying to get him to run. He said, this may mean that you cannot, that I will not have the money to pursue, for you to pursue the education I had hoped to give you. We all voted for him to go and to sign up for, you know what he did on the independent, the Democratic, and the Republican tickets. He was a Democrat. But you had to control all three to ever be elected. And so we won the primary, and they contested it, and we had a great trial in Mount Sterling with Judge O'Rear as the judge, and they had people coming in there and swearing to everything in the world. Every time they proved we had an illicit vote, we proved they had 10. So all we were doing was piling up our majority, and they were trying to show how much money, as though what Louise and I had spent away in school was a part of Dad's expenditures for election. But of course it wasn't. I mean, you know, it was going to school.
But now who was he running against? The Youngs?
Pruitt.
Pruitt.
But the Youngs controlled every election that went on in this town. And your,
Yeah, Dad was right, isn't he?
Jim,
Yeah.
Jim Clay was right in there with them, but they had it so organized, controlled through Tom Rose. Oh, I mean, I used to know all. There are plenty of them around. They're still in politics.
Absolutely.
And it's history, from Rodburn all the way to farmers and all the way around. And I used to know who the leadership was. But, you know, I kind of forget, and I was pretty young to remember, but I can remember about several of the families. And so then they took it to the Court of Appeals after we won in Mount Sterling, in the lower court. Then they took it to the higher court in Frankfurt, and they absolutely rewrote the trial. And they turned the decision around at the Supreme Court in Frankfurt. Supreme Court, is that what you call it?
Yeah, Court of Appeals.
Court of Appeals, yeah, I knew it was wrong. So we went out electioneering. Now, Louise drove Dad in the summer during the primary, and then she went back to school, and I stayed out. Really, I was to have made my debut in Chicago, singing, and I stayed home. This was ultimate to the family, and I stayed home and drove him that fall. Someone would sit with a gun on our front porch. We were followed by a car of people we knew just as soon shoot you as not. People worried to death about us. And Dad was begging Dad to carry a gun. Well, Dad never carried a gun. He didn't have one except his hunting gun. He never was going to carry
I
one.
hadn't heard of the thing.
So we went out, and even I made talks every place. And we defied them for taking the records to Frankfurt and changing the whole thing. They had that much power. They went down there and they changed the records. Well, of course you know that we won by the largest majority that was ever heard of in the whole circuit area. I think it was called the 10th Judicial District. But it took, and then they tried to get Dad to run for governor. And of course he got us all together again. And they wanted me to run for senator. And I would have won for sure, because there was no one that was going to run against me. And finally, I'll tell you, Emmy Shader, what's his name? Bill ran, and he got it because no one ran against him. And we all decided, and Dad had had enough politics. He was worn out with it. And you couldn't win for losing. You see, you had such a fight. You had to spend so much money. And there was so much power structure you fought. And there were guns and all of the bad things. And Dad just didn't want to be involved in the filthy bob trots, they call it today.
Nice.
Still the same thing going on. Except there are not as many guns, but it's all under the table, and certainly is plenty of liquor, as much as there was then or more. So it really hasn't changed.
That's not very much fun.
The structure. No, but I'm glad Dad got out of it, and we all were. Wouldn't you? We all voted that he used to, on New Year's Day, get us all together, and that was kind of a settling the last years are in there. And he would tell us what his business financial situation was and what his plan. Now you ought to read that. It's kind of long, and I ought to read this. You ought to turn that thing on. Well, that was across from where Miss Humphrey lived.
That's right.
And that's where Louise was born. And Uncle Doc Skaggs delivered Louise and made me think that I found her and took her to Mother. And I carried her into Mother up there. And, well, that's where we drove when we were living in the country, and parked our Model T in the barn back of there, and then school was right over the road. But anyway, when Grandma, Mary Ann Caudill, near the end of her life, when she was confined to the bed in her last days, every time that they would hire someone to take care of her, she'd fire them. She just wasn't going to pay that money out, and She found out when I was so thin. And so I can remember being on the front porch, it went all the way across, down on Main Street, where some funeral home is,
Stuffy.
next to where Uncle Stuffy, next to Uncle Dave's. And I can remember Uncle Dave and Uncle Neelis and Daddy out there, and I was listening and trying to figure out what they could do about their mother, balking about someone to take care of her. So they hatched this up. They went to the bank and took a bushel basket, and they filled it full of bills. Even with bills, and then they carried it to her sick room.
Rolled it in a wheelbarrow.
And rolled it in a wheelbarrow, yeah. And said, Mother, you've got, I don't know how many times they said, but you've got 10, 15 more bushel baskets of dollars than is in this basket. Now, do you want us to take care of you, or what can we do? We have to do it. And they convinced her. But they had to show her. They couldn't tell her, they had to show her.
That was Mary Ann Hall.
Ann Hall. Mm-hmm.
Caudill.
Well, you know that I've got that Clifford Cox 3 volumes in there. Yeah.
I'm gonna call him. 'Cause I know him.
And it's a shame that none of us ever, he called me 2 or 3 times. But you know, you never find the time.
You've got to make. You never find it.
Yeah. Never
And that's why I'm delighted that we got together today.
Oh, this is great.
find it. It's fun too, isn't it?
It is, absolutely.